What's up, everybody? It's your favorite FPL YouTubers back at it with another Game Week preview and analysis video. This time for Double Game Week 33. Should be an exciting one. I'm Jarrett.
And I'm Evan.
And this is How to FPL.
All right. Exciting week this week, a double game week, so let's get right into it.
Absolutely. So, unfortunately, we have to recap last week. Not a great performance from my squad. I was below the game week average, which is very unfortunate. The defense was terrible. Veghorst was terrible. My Arsenal boys were terrible. Foden was terrible. There were very few positives. So, yeah, and my rank dropped about 20,000 places. So that's not fun.
Man, that's unfortunate. I mean, I think even people that got well above the game week average this week, who were in the top, 30K, ended up dropping rank. I was one of those people. And so getting below the average, it ain't going to be a small drop in rank.
No.
But nice to see
happens.
Rafinha. Yeah, it does happen. I was going to say nice to see Rafinha getting, a 10-pointer on his way out of most of our teams.
Yeah. I mean, at least, you know what? The biggest positive, I think, is that my captain scored the most points in my team. That's always nice when that happens. Like, obviously, he tied Rafinha here. It's always nice when you realize, okay, maybe I messed up setting up my team, but at least I got the captain right,
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
I know
let's
another
look at
thing.
yours. Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
yeah. No, we can move on.
All right. I've had enough of that.
Enough. We'll put you out of your misery. I did a little bit better this week. I had 63, which was, again, it's a solid 15 points above the average. And look at that. I still dropped in rank. I dropped 3K. So, 2.5K. So, definitely not super happy. But honestly, looking at the transfers I made, I don't think it could have gone much better. I mean, I could have brought in Mason Mount, but I honestly don't think his numbers leading up to last week really indicated that he was about to get an absolute haul. I brought in Zaha, who got me a goal, even though he missed a pen in that same game. And in fact, those all happened in the same 30 seconds.
It was one of the weirdest sequences that I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. But I liked having Kulu. Obviously, no Son. I know you, Jarrett, were also maybe thinking about getting Son last week for Salah. Unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. Solid week for me. I'd say a solid
definitely.
week. That's it.
Definitely. I mean, you had over half your starters here get returns. 6 of your starters got returns. I don't think you can complain too much about that.
Yeah, and my ones that didn't, like Robertson, Saka, I mean, I guess not White, but Robertson and Saka are definitely both pretty, high owned, so, having them blank didn't matter that much.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Clean sheet odds. Obviously, we have a lot of double game week players up in this list. So City up there, they're a single game week, but they're facing Brighton. Yeah, pretty high chance of a clean sheet there. United, same thing. I think a lot of people are actually going to be considering bringing in United players this week, especially if they're on a free hit. I've heard rumors that United might have a double game week after this week as well, which would be interesting, and that's something I think we'll talk about later. but yeah, Newcastle also with a double game week. Newcastle are playing Crystal Palace and who's the other one? Leicester, I believe.
Yep.
Um, but both home games, and Newcastle are, defense are in pretty good form, if I recall. Right, Jarrett?
Yeah, they are.
So yeah, it should be an interesting game week. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing up here, perhaps, is that ahead of all these double game weeking teams, Man City still has the best clean sheet odds. That is just a testament to how good their defense has been this season. And Brighton obviously are not exactly scoring goals for fun. So
Yeah, absolutely. And then, like, on top of that, looking at Man City's fixtures for the rest of the season, it seems like a no-brainer to get in at least one of their defenders if you haven't already. The two top candidates, obviously, right now being Cancello and Laporte, which is also interesting just given Cancelo's possibility of being benched this weekend. I think it really does make it an interesting choice. And with prices considered as well, Cancello versus Laporte is definitely a hot debate going on in the FPL community right now. Do you have any thoughts about that, Jarrett?
yeah, I mean, for my team personally, yeah, I have to take the price difference into consideration a lot. Laporte is, I think, 1.2 million cheaper than Cancello, and so that's who I'll probably end up bringing in. If I had unlimited funds, I would definitely want Cancello instead. But I think Laporte could get similar points or even potentially more than Cancello toward like from now until the end of the season. Just because I also think Cancello is probably more likely to be rotated than Laporte.
Especially in immediately upcoming game weeks.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people are saying that Cancello probably won't play in this coming game because it just ends up timing perfectly for him to get a rest in this game. Like I haven't actually looked at the schedule, but I've just heard that it makes perfect sense for him to be rested in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I agree with that. And then I think also like you still have to put that in the longer term context of City's fixtures, City's long term fixtures for the next 8 game weeks. It's almost for me, it's regardless of this game week, I'm gonna get in Cancello or Laporte.
Yeah,
Um,
and you know what? If you have the money for it and the transfers for it and the positions in defense for it, you might as well get both, honestly, because City's
yeah,
defense are keeping hella clean sheets right now.
yeah, that's a great point. And I guess segueing on from that, a team who did have a great defense leading up to the past week or two, but now looking a little bit shakier is Arsenal. They still have a 51% aggregated chance of clean sheet this week, but I'm curious how confident you are having someone like a Ramsdale or a Ben White this week in your team.
Yeah, they have not been doing as well, have they? I would actually not be very. I don't think there are good signs for Arsenal's defense, to be honest. I think that the Tierney injury is huge for that. Obviously, Tomiyasu's still hurt, apparently. But then the Thomas Partey injury means that Arsenal have to switch their formation because they simply like don't have enough central defensive midfielders. So they probably end up playing with more attacking midfielders, which leaves them less defensive coverage. So I would not be bringing in an Arsenal defender right now, personally. I still think Ramsdale's probably a good shout, though, just because he does get those save points.
Fair enough. Should we move on?
Yes, sir.
All right. Leading the captain poll for this week is Son Heung-min, who obviously scored a hat trick last week. He's definitely riding the wave of recency bias. I think you would agree, Jarrett. That being said, he is surely a great captain option this week. I just think the question is he the best one?
Yeah, I don't agree with this poll. I think I made that pretty clear to you before we recorded this video. He doesn't have a double game week, and I know he scored a hat trick last week, but it's not like he's been getting like a ridiculous hauls this season. I don't know. Those words will probably come back to bite me, but I personally wouldn't really expect Spurs to score more than like 2 goals. And, is Son going to be involved in one or both of them? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. But then I think the flip side is that like that's the dilemma for this game week is that the informed players have single game weeks and the out of form players are the ones with double game weeks. So you got people like Bruno, Saka, um, Madison's up there. I mean, Madison, he hasn't got more than a single return in a game in a while, right? Um, could be wrong about Madison specifically, but then look at Salah. I mean, I guess he's gone a little bit out of form, but look, 5% captain. I mean, he's a differential this week, and it's Salah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we were just talking about this, but I think if you're chasing points, I think Salah could be an absolutely fantastic shout for captain. Not to mention the fact that he scored a hat trick against United in the reverse fixture, and I think he has like a decent history of scoring against United. So I don't know. Salah could be a great shout considering he's pretty low on this captaincy poll.
Yeah. I'm chasing points and I'm captaining Salah. So, but I actually think Bukayo Saka on this list is probably a good shout too. I mean, he obviously has a double game week. One of them is against Southampton, who aren't in very good form. The other one's obviously Chelsea, who are obviously a much better team than Southampton. But at the same time, Saka would be up against Marcus Alonso, who isn't that good of a defender. So you never know.
Yeah, no. I mean, I honestly think you can't go wrong with most of these people on a week like this week where the captain choices are split so evenly. Hard to go wrong with one of these. I'm curious what you think of Bruno and Ronaldo too, especially with Ronaldo being, at least in this poll, a much less popular pick than Bruno.
Yeah, I would expect them to get absolutely just a train ran on them against Liverpool. So I wouldn't really expect them to get returns in that game. So then you're kind of looking at, okay, how do I think they'll do against Norwich? You never know. I don't know how motivated Man United really are right now. It doesn't really look like they're going to get a Champions League spot. And Norwich are getting into must-win games territory. So I didn't bring in any Man United players for a reason.
I think that's fair. I mean, especially attackers. I think we'll get to this. I think defenders are actually a decent shout. I'm considering bringing in Alex Telles this week. But I guess outside of that, I agree with you.
Yeah. And then we have three Man United players in the top 5 for goal scorer odds. Right after I said that.
Yeah. Yeah, they are in the top 5. And I think it sounds like the bookies are expecting a Man United haul against Norwich. So that we'll have to see how that bears out. We also have someone, Chris Wood is up here, who scored last week. Any thoughts on Chris Wood's prospects for this week and for the rest of the season?
I personally would not be surprised if everyone in the top 5 here blank this week.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Iheanacho has, yeah.
I mean, the Man United guys, you just never know. It really just depends on what Man United team turn up. There's something wrong with the mentality at that club. Chris Wood, I can't imagine betting on Chris Wood, but you know what? The striker options are terrible this season. And Ian Acho, I don't even know if he's going to start both games, but if he does, I think he has a decent chance of scoring. But I think it's really a toss up, to be honest.
I also find it interesting that Salah has just as high a percentage, according to these odds, as Kane of scoring a goal, and yet Kane is being picked by many more people.
Yeah.
I wonder if people just see United's name and still think of them as a team that's going to put up defensive resistance.
And not just bend over and take it. Yeah.
Yeah. As you
that's possible. I also think people tend to have a lot of recency bias. I mean, obviously, like this is a model, so this isn't like people's thoughts. But like going back to the captaincy poll, like I think people tend to have a lot of recency bias, and Salah obviously hasn't been performing like exceptionally well in the last few weeks. But like if you just zoom out a little bit, he has been exceptionally well. So I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I think it could be really dangerous this week.
All right, we're getting into my team for this week. So I do have a bit of a dilemma on my hands about who to start and what transfers to make. So I'll just kind of run through my thought process kind of quickly. So my Liverpool boys were all rested in the Champions League, so I think they'll all get some good minutes against Man United. The two Arsenal guys, or three Arsenal guys, they got a double game week. Even if they've been in bad form, I'm starting them. Unfortunately, Weghorst and Broja are starting. They have double game weeks. This is kind of what I bought them for, so I kind of just got to put them out there. Pretty excited about Kane being out there. And then we get into the decisions part. So I was dead set on benching Pereira until he scored tonight against PSV Eindhoven. And a lot of people are saying that they think that Leicester's defense tonight is actually their first choice defense. And so maybe he will actually play now in the Premier League. So I think I want to start him. And then I've got Foden starting right now. I have 2 free transfers right now and some tough decisions to make. I know I'll definitely want to get at least 1, maybe 2 Chelsea players ahead of their potential double next week. Probably being either Mason Mount or Havertz, and then one of their defenders. And then I'm considering doing Doherty to either Schär or Laporte this week. Probably Laporte. And whoever I do bring in, I think I would probably start over Foden. But yeah, lots of things to think about here. What do you think, Evan?
For sure. I think that you're looking at exactly the right moves. I'm also looking at Chelsea people, and I think with your defender dilemma, obviously Doherty's got to go, and so you're debating between Schär and Laporte. If it were me, I think Laporte's a no-brainer. I think you have, this is game week 33. You have this one through 38. That's 6 game weeks left in the season. I think almost anyone you bring in at this point ideally should be someone that you're comfortable playing for the rest of the season. And I think in that sense, Laporte is the way to go. I think he looks set to start. He's fairly cheap for a team that is consistently putting up clean sheets. I think Newcastle, it's great. They have a double. They play Norwich next week. Great. And then after that, you're going to be like, why did I transfer this person in? And you don't even know what they're going to do this week. in the double. I mean, Leicester and Crystal Palace are both teams that can put a goal or two past you if you're Newcastle. So my advice would be Laporte, but also that's just my opinion. I think there are valid reasons to go for someone like a Target or a Shar, especially if you're chasing points and you need a differential. A lot of people will have City defenders, so maybe you bank against City's defense for the rest of the season. I think it's kind of a hedging your bets kind of question.
Yeah, I think I'm tending to agree with your opinion here. A lot. Back to your argument about Newcastle maybe not even keeping one clean sheet this week. A lot of people will say, "Oh, well, Shars has a goal threat." Well, honestly, Laporte probably has a better goal threat.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think that's perfectly
yeah.
valid.
No, that's a great point because Shar probably has a better goal threat in relation to the rest of his team, but Laporte has a better goal threat, like just by nature of his team having a higher goal threat in general.
Yeah.
Um, so
All right,
completely
let's
agree.
take a look at your team.
All right. So I also got rid of Doherty this week. I already made two of my transfers. I had two frees, so I did Doherty to Cancello. I know, I know that he might not start. I made this decision knowing that I did in fact do that. Um, and if he doesn't start, that's fine because I have Broya coming in off the bench. He's a double game weaker. Um, and I really think Cancello is going to be a huge asset in my team for the rest of the season. I mean, obviously, barring injuries. I mean, he got an assist against Liverpool last week, and I can see him getting, you know, between 6 and 12 pointers pretty consistently from now till the end of the season, which just I just think it's hard to pass up. I think he's at this point, I see him as like an equal asset to Trent at 1.5 cheaper. So I'm really happy to have him in my team now. And then the question was, what's my other transfer going to be? Because to do Doherty to Cancelo, I actually didn't have the funds to do that on its own. Um, and so looking at the rest of my team, and I had Rafinha, who my plan all along has been to get rid of him, and I saw no reason to change that. Um, he got 10 points for me on the way out, and now I'm happy to see him go. He has no game this week, and his next few after that are pretty low in the fixture ticker. So the question is, who do I get in for him? I decided to go with Dewsbury Hall, which is definitely a controversial move. But my reasoning there is pure fantasy Premier League economics. I just think that the funds I save from going Dewsbury Hall could be well used in other parts of my team, such as bringing in that Chelsea mid that could be so valuable next week, or bringing in a Trent who I don't have and I'm pretty scared not to have for the rest of the season. I have a solid 2 million in the bank now that can be put towards those goals. So that's my line of thinking. And then I guess like the one last thing I'll say is I am considering bench boosting this week. I'm not set on it at all. But if I did do it, I would do. You see my bench down there. The remaining game week list player is Kilman. I've been looking to get rid of him for a while now, and I could transfer him out for Alex Telles, and actually have a pretty decent bench boost for this week. But I'm not set on that at all. I think there are a lot of reasons that my bench boost isn't optimal also, but that's kind of where we are this season. So, any thoughts, Jarrett?
Yeah, I like the transfers that you made. I think they make sense. And as far as potentially bench boosting, I personally I can't do this because of I have too many problems in my team right now. But I just want to get rid of the bench boost as soon as possible because it's just kind of burning a hole in my pocket, and I just feel like problems will continue to come up, and I'll just keep having to address them. So that's up to you as far as what you want to do.
Yeah, no, and I feel that same itch to scratch, the bench boost itch. That being said, it's still I feel like nothing has changed as far as the prospects of a game week 36 bench boost. I don't know if you have some information that I don't, but as I understand it, game week 36 is still going to have a whole lot of double game weekers. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll probably end up both being pretty good options.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's more a question of peace of mind. In which case, perhaps making a move early is good for that.
Yeah.
And I have Pope. You know, good. I don't know what my keeper situation is going to be 3 or 4 weeks down the line, and right now I really have a benching headache between Pope and Dubravka, Broya and Dewsbury Hall. Rudiger could be thrown in there if I wanted, and then just adding Alex Telles to the list. I don't know. It could be like a solid bench boost, even if it's not the best ever.
Yeah,
So,
it definitely could be.
We'll see. But
all right. That being said, thanks a ton for watching the video this week. It means a lot to us. Make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell button so you don't miss any of our videos. And make sure to check out our socials at how_2FPL. It's lit.
it's lit. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.